Senator Josh Hawley introduces a bill to send tariff rebate checks to Americans. I don't know what could go wrong. Honestly, I can't think of a single bad thing about this.
Nope.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley introduced legislation Monday to provide tariff rebate checks of at least $600 per adult and child to American families, similar to the STEMI checks the government distributed during the COVID pandemic. Now, if you're Josh Hawley, you would not want that to be compared to the STEMI checks that went out during the COVID pandemic, because we could all widely agree that those sent inflation spiraling up to 9.1%, and the real number was much higher than that. We all know that. Hawley from Missouri submitted his legislation after having pledged to do so Friday, after Donald Trump told reporters he'd be interested in sending a tariff-related rebate check to Americans. He says, like President Trump proposed, my legislation would allow hardworking Americans to benefit from the wealth that Trump's tariffs are returning to this country, which is where we will stop and think for a second. He says, like President Trump, my legislation would allow hardworking Americans to benefit from the wealth that Trump's tariffs are returning to this country. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is, it's a whole lot of people who think that other countries pay the tariffs, and that they still think, and they're still saying this. They're still saying it over and over again.
People online saying this.
Everyone
in our
says
YouTube
this.
comments.
Everyone says this. Yeah, like that one. I saw, was it YouTube where the guy was like, you guys need to do your research before before making fools of yourselves. Mm-hmm. Like the tariffs are paid by other countries. Yeah. Listen, is there nuance to saying that we pay the tariffs, not the other countries? Of course, there's a little bit of nuance there, because there's deal making here between businesses. We have to start off, though, with the fact of the matter is the tariff is charged to the importing entity, not the exporting entity, which is the other country. The tariffs are charged to the company that is importing the product in America. That company actually is the one who's got to write the check to the government. Now, where does that come from? Probably from a lot of different places. It could come from us, could come a little bit out of their side, and it could come a little bit from the people in the other country lowering their prices down just a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, the company in this country is the one that writes the check to the federal government for the tariff. So the money comes directly from them. So then your question is, where do they get that money from that they are using to pay the government?
From the other country.
Yeah, they get the product, and you look inside the product, and there's just stacks of bills in there, $100 bills in there that they use to pay
a few hundred for the big man.
Now, of course, there's a reason that other countries don't like it when you put tariffs on their products. Like, why would they get upset, Charlie? If we pay the tariff, well, why does the other country get upset when we put a tariff on them? Because those importers decide, it affects their decision, maybe they're going to buy less stuff from that country. And so that country doesn't like it when we put a tariff on them. That's why they get so upset. It's not exactly that they're going to have to pay it, but they're either going to get less business, or they'll get the same business if they're just super competitive, or they're the only supplier of their product. Or maybe they'll get a little bit less money because they had to decrease their prices in order to offset what the person who's buying from them is having to pay when they buy it. Now, what determines who is actually paying that tariff is really just how many suppliers of that product are there.
Well, first you have to ask yourself, where do they collect the tariff?
Here.
Yeah, it's a custom duty.
It's customs collects the tariff.
At the ports in America.
Yeah.
Okay. So the companies that are importing those products, they're the ones that pay the custom duty.
I mean, there seem to actually be people
You don't send a tax bill to China.
There seem to actually be people that think that they have to pay a tax to America, that like the UK has to send a tax bill, has to send a tax check to the United States Treasury, and that's where they get the tariff money. It's not. It's from the company that's bringing it in. But like I said, there's several different ways that you can try and determine who's going to pay that. We're going to pay some of it for sure. The importing company might end up paying some of it if they need to try and stay competitive. And the country that is exporting that good to us could decide to lower their prices a little bit, which would cost them money, and in effect is them sort of paying some of the tariff. All right. But the reason we're talking about this right now is because this idea, it clouds all of the other decisions that people make. It clouds their ideas that they have when people talk about what are we going to do with this tariff money, that Trump has returned this wealth back to the United States. The money came from the United States. That's where it came from. All right. I got a tweet here from this guy, Bill Mitchell, who's ridiculous, by the way. But anyway, he says, so do I have this straight? The EU will pay us a 15% tariff on exports to the U.S. while charging us 0% tariffs on U.S. goods sold there and promising to buy hundreds of billions in U.S. energy and arms. No, you don't have that straight. The EU is not going to pay us a 15% tariff. We are charging the company that imports from the EU a 15% tax when they import it from the EU. It's very easy. We also found out today that July tariff revenues have broken a monthly record. We got $150 billion collected so far in 2025.
That's to support the $600 checks coming out.
Yeah, $28 billion in July came in. We had $27 billion in June, so moved up another $1 billion. And now people still think that we're just directly collecting this from the other countries. Some of it could come from them decreasing their prices in order to stay competitive. Some of it could be coming from the company that is importing it because they want to stay competitive. And some of it is coming from you. All of those things are true.
Basically, it's just an additional tax.
It literally is an additional tax.
Now,
I mean, it's not even basically a tax. It
is, yeah.
Literally an additional tax.
I would like to see them, instead of handing it out to Americans, let's just start to pay down the debt. So
there's so many ridiculous reasons, easy reasons to not do $600 per adult and per child. Number one, like Charlie just said, we got a massive debt. We got a massive deficit. We got massive interest payments that we're paying every year. Any amount of money that's coming in needs to be, first off, going towards closing our deficit so we can stop borrowing new money every year. So first off, we got to close that deficit by however much we possibly can. There's other reasons not to do $600 payments. What about inflation? Right now, like the tariffs have not caused the inflation that so many people talked about causing, us being some of those people too.
Now, it has gone up a little.
Yeah. Now I can make an argument, first off, that we keep delaying the tariffs and delaying the tariffs, and maybe they're actually about to kick in this moment. And so maybe we'll actually see those prices happen. Maybe those price increases are going to be spread throughout several months. And so we're not just going to see a 15% jump, 1 month in prices. It's probably going to be spread throughout many months. And the one good thing about tariffs is that it's a one-time price change. So that's a good thing too. But one of the things that keeps the prices from going up is people's buying power. Like companies are always trying to get as much money as they possibly can. So what do we see during COVID? You give people a whole bunch of money and corporations end up increasing their prices essentially by the amount of money that you gave people to spend.
Because that's where the economy normalizes.
And so like right now, the thing holding down this massive increase in prices from the tariffs is the fact that the American people did not get a massive increase in their wages commensurate with the new price increases that the corporations might need to do. But as soon as you go and give a family of three $1,800, like we did with the American Rescue Plan or with the CARES Act or whatever, guess what's going to happen? Same thing we saw happen last time is what's going to happen. The other really stupid part about this that we talked about.
You'll see your monthly expenses go up about $150 to $200.
Yeah. It'll be roughly the amount of money that you get paid from the government.
Right in line.
Actually, it'll be probably just a little bit more than you get from the government. The other stupid part about this is that tariffs are supposed to increase the price of the goods that come from another country. All right. And so the incentive there is for you to say, well, I guess I'll just buy from this American company instead, because the price of this good from China, from the UK or whatever, It just got this much more expensive, and so I might as well buy this American-made product. And so what happens when the tariffs increase the price of those goods from overseas? Okay, you got that part of your incentive process starting. But then you take the portion of what came in from increasing those prices and you just give it to people in the form of a rebate. Well, then they say, well, I know that good got more expensive, but turns out I got this extra money, this extra rebate that just got given to me. And so I guess I'll still buy that product from overseas. I got a little bit of extra money right now.
What incentive does it give whatsoever?
I know it's not, it would be a small portion of the tariff money that comes in, but it does sort of do some funny stuff to the incentive process that tariffs are like, it's supposed to be a punishment for buying that stuff from overseas. You're supposed to make that stuff too expensive for people to buy. That's the whole idea here.
That's the argument a lot of people make.
Yeah. It's a punishment. You buy American, gall darn it. That stuff's too expensive. We made it too expensive via taxes, and now you need to buy the American-made product, and that's going to be good for American manufacturing. It's not as much of a punishment if you do it, and then you just give the money back to people over here. It's really dumb, basically. We already did that on Dumb Bleep of the Week last Friday, but I just wanted to do it again because he officially introduced the legislation.
I also saw a meme. I don't know if it's that true, but it does make you think about this. So, for instance, like American-made cars, right? They have to import the steel and things like that from China, right? They're paying, massive tariffs on. But with Japan, there's only a 15% tariff on Japan, so you could order a whole Toyota.
It's actually cheaper.
And it's cheaper than the American-made car.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because they're not using American steel to make the cars, or aluminum or aluminum.
It is
whatever they say over there across the pond.
I gotta try to remember where I saw that, but yeah, I saw the same thing. That if you look at the tariffs that Ford and GM are going to have to pay, and how much it's going to increase the price of their inputs for their cars, it would actually be cheaper for people to buy Toyota or Hyundai or whatever it's going to be. Honda, whatever it's going to be, than it would be an American-made car.
I love Toyota.
Yeah, I love Honda.
So I've had a Toyota Tundra now for over 10 years now. Mm-hmm. Not the same one. I've had a couple different ones, but I hardly ever have a problem with them ever. They run so well. It's the smoothest ride you'll ever have in your life.
It's a nice truck. It's nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I had a Civic and then an Accord, and I've gone 14 years now. Never had to take a car to the shop the whole time. I don't even know a guy who runs a shop. I don't need to.
I don't even know shop